Thursday,
Oh.
October 5th. My name's
Oh.
Josh Grossman. With me as always, Landon Rush and Mr. Suicide Watch, Geoff Hahnd. And this is Fantasy Inception.
Oh, yeah.
So it is. Guys, how are you doing?
I don't have the energy today, boys. I'm sorry. I'm not going to be able to.
I know. We'll
Just not feeling it right
we'll
now.
shit on some other people.
Appreciate it.
I'm just here to watch the Geoff meltdown, really.
Doesn't anyone notice this? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills!
I think we should have started an hour ago. I don't know what we're... Oh, so we haven't done a show in a couple weeks, so what we're going to do is we will recap the last 2 weeks. We're going to go manager by manager, so each of our viewers can really just find the couple minutes where we talk about them and then tune out the rest of it. And then, Geoff, are we going to do Honda's Huddle?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, we'll do Honda's Huddle, and then we will look at week 5. We're going to start off with, regretfully, Mr. BC Touch Nation. He's 4-0. He scored the most points in week 3 and the third most points in week 4. Geoff, for Bryden's team, Mostert had a very hot game in week 3, a bad week 4, including a couple fumbles. He semi-correctly decided to bench Mostert in week 4. Unfortunately, he started Aaron Jones in his place, who did worse. So maybe it was the wrong move. But for you, is Mostert an auto start, or what's your opinion?
Well, let's just get to it. I mean, if Mostert's playing me, yes, he's an auto start. You need to play him 100% of the time. That's when he went for his biggest game. But besides that, no, I would not consider him auto start. He had 2 fumbles last week, and I think that was majority of the reason why Chan got in there. And basically, I mean, I think they shared the same amount of touches. Maybe Mostert had one more. But it was 1 touch difference between the two of them. I know that, but Chan was on the field more. And that being said, with Chan balling out, it's just tough to play. I mean, the team doesn't run a lot in general, Miami, so it's hard to maybe count on him week to week. It's probably a little bit of matchup based, but again, I kind of think that the fumbles and they were trailing against Buffalo for majority of that game, so they were probably chasing points a little bit. I think Chan appears to be the better play going into this week against the Giants. So no, I would not consider Mostert a weekly starter.
Okay, unless he's playing you. Landon, Bryden in
Unless
week
he's
4
playing
got
me, that's
more
right.
points from his defense, 33 points, than he did from his 2 QBs. than he did from his 2 QBs combined. Is QB a concern for Bryden, or does this show that the strategy this year really was load up on your receivers and running backs and get by with just middle of the road QBs?
No, I don't think that's the right way to go in Superflex. I kind of, speaking for myself, spent a lot of money on quarterbacks, and I'm also 4-0. But
we'll talk about you in a sec.
But his quarterbacks are kind of middle of the road. He's got Goff and Stafford. Uh-oh, we lose Geoff?
Nope, still here.
Oh, this screen's black. Oh. Sorry. So yeah, Goff and Stafford, they're not going to necessarily be league winners, but they're not going to hurt his team either. They're going to get, around 10, 15 points a game, maybe more if they have a really good game. But he got, Jefferson and Tyreek, obviously we saw that coming, but Mostert having the good year so far, Swift, a great pickup, or I don't know, I think he may have drafted him. Puka. So he's got a lot of firepower elsewhere, and his quarterbacks are kind of just pushing him a little bit further, if that makes any sense.
Yep. All right. Next team is our very own Landon Rush's team, the only other 4-0 team. Landon scored 129 points in week 3 to beat Finder and put up the second most points, 141 in week 4 to beat Geoff. Geoff, Landon had Kamara coming back for his first game post suspension last week against you, of course. What did you make of his first game?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. Solid game. I mean, the guy had 14 targets and caught 13 receptions. So, if that's his floor week to week, then I think it's pretty solid to be at least an RB2 every week.
Yep. I heard a stat that was he had 13 catches for like 30 yards, and that is the least amount of yards on double-digit catches ever. And the record before that was, I think, 13 catches for 70 yards. So
Wow.
he didn't get a lot of, yeah, he crushed it. Not sure it was a good record to crush, but
No.
Landon, the only bad performance for you came from Waddle. Are you concerned at all that the running backs are taking his piece of the pie, or was this just coming back from injury?
I mean, I'm a little concerned. Yes, I mean, they're not going to drop 70 points every game, so I don't think the running backs are necessarily going to score 8 touchdowns a game and kind of shut them out. But their running game is really solid right now. But I mean, he has been a disappointment this year. He had 9.8 points in week 1, 10.4 in week 2. He was out in week 3, only 6.6 points this past week. So if someone's trying to buy low from me right now, that's not going to happen. So don't even freaking think about it. I'm holding on to him. The boom games are coming, hopefully sooner rather than later. And hopefully he can step it up and boost my team a little bit more.
Okay. Next manager is Bino's Empty Points. He's won 2 in a row to be in third place, scoring the second most points in week 3 to beat me, and 140 points in week 4 to beat Moreau. Geoff, Bino is having Jonathan Taylor coming back from IR. I think it could be this week since he's been practicing in full. Initially the question was going to be, what's your prediction for where he plays and when he plays?
Running back.
It seems like he's going to be playing for the Colts for the foreseeable future. I didn't ask position. Is he going to be on the Colts all season, I guess, is the question.
Yeah, I actually do believe him to be on the Colts all season. Initially before there was obviously talks of trade, but as we look around the league, I don't necessarily see a team that is going to buy him at this point. I mean, we kind of thought Miami, right? And it certainly doesn't seem like they need a running back at this point. So I don't
Baltimore,
know really
maybe?
who.
Baltimore?
Possibly, but
Just not yet.
again, yeah, I mean, I don't see a trade happening at this point. I think, I mean, it's the price is too steep for any of these teams to really try to buy him from what the Colts are looking to get. And it sounds like the Colts organization and
Sure.
his people are having more positive talks right now, I guess, which is good. So no, I don't anticipate any sort of change at this point.
Okay. Landon, Calvin Ridley scored 10, a little under 11 points, catching only 2 passes, but getting a TD to save his day in week 4. He balled out that first week, but he's been pretty mediocre since then. What is the story with Ridley? What are you seeing?
I don't like this story that I'm seeing. It's really kind of frightening.
Whoa, awesome. Let's put a smile on that face.
Damn it, Creed. I've been up since 4.
I don't know about frightening, but so over the past 3 games, which have all been played without Zay Jones, the alpha Zay Jones, Calvin Ridley only has a 15% target share compared to almost double at 29% target share for Christian Kirk. So you kind of didn't really see that coming, especially after week 1. You would have thought his targets would have went up when Zay Jones is gone, but his target shares dropped every single week this year. So you definitely don't want to drop him, but it's someone you want to probably put on your bench and ride it out and see how it plays out in the near future.
Okay. Fourth place is my very own low score wins. A blah week 3 loss, but I scored the most points in week 4. Geoff, Montgomery was on my bench for the massive week 4. Did his usage and production surprise you? Did you see it continuing that way in the future?
No, I'm not surprised. Detroit has a great offensive line, and it's certainly showing. Gibbs has certainly been surprising, I guess, given his explosiveness that we've seen throughout the first few games. And, being a 12th overall pick by the organization, not getting in there is certainly a bit of a surprise. But I saw an interesting video on Yahoo's fantasy football show. It's called Eckler's Edge.
Yeah.
And, Eckler was
I
out
don't
there.
hear him.
Yeah.
Eckler was out there talking about, basically complimenting David Montgomery and the way he runs and how he sets up his runs and doing a lot of intangibles.
Uh-oh. Suicide watch?
Suicide watch. What's it called where you call the police over there?
I think we got to get a wellness check.
Wellness check. Thank you. Yeah, wellness check. If any of our viewers could do a wellness check on Geoff. All right. Well, we will wait for him and we'll pick up when he comes back. Landon, for you, my question for you. I've been holding on to JSN, hoping that in the second half he would blow up, but with Lockett and Metcalf in front of him and his 2 catches for 5 yards every week, I'm starting to doubt it. What would you do if you were in my shoes?
Well, in redraft,
That's
I
what we're
think
talking
it's
about.
probably safe to move on at this point. In Dynasty, I'd probably drop him too. But no, obviously in Dynasty you hold. But in redraft, I think he's pretty much a drop at this point. Got some nice little stats for you. So he's only mostly playing in 3 wide receiver sets. And the Seahawks are 26th in 3 wide receiver sets on first downs when you most likely will see the 3 wide receiver sets. Metcalf and Lockett are big target earners in front of him. His ADOT, and that is average depth of target for those newbies out there. Very big stat. A lot of the analysts love this. But his average depth of target is only 3.3 yards, which is the 4th lowest among all wide receivers.
No. Hold
And
on. We got
the echoes back. God damn it, Geoff.
Gosh darn it! Shit! Shoot!
His ADOT is 3.3 yards, which is the 4th lowest among all wide receivers. And this leads to a 0.67 yards per route run, which also is very big in the analyst world. And that is 92nd among 96 qualifiers. So probably time to move on at this point in redraft. And that's all I got on JSN.
All right. Geoff, we're going back to you. You were giving us some Montgomery info.
Yeah, so I'm not surprised by this. Detroit has a great offensive line. They're clearly showing that. I mean, I think the usage of Gibbs has certainly been surprising given his explosiveness that we've seen and also, where they drafted him 12th overall. But I did see an interesting video on Yahoo's fantasy football show called Eckler's Edge, in which Eckler was complimenting David Montgomery and the way he runs. He's able to set up his runs. He's doing a lot of intangibles. Talked about how he gets his shoulder pads square and, getting his body positioning, holding linebackers off for a split second before he hits the hole, and just really being a seasoned vet. So this really kind of gives him an edge, at least Eckler believes, over Gibbs right now, just kind of doing all those little things. And clearly the coaching staff picks up on that. So, I also saw if you eliminate kind of the short yardage and the goal line carries, he's actually been very efficient, David Montgomery, for his runs and averaging over 4.5 yards per carry. So, I'm not surprised by this usage or what we're seeing out of him. It shows kind of, I think he was talent. I mean, he had talent. He was always kind of drafted well when he was even with the Bears. So now that he has a better kind of offensive line, I think we're finally kind of getting to see what we always thought he could be.
Yeah. I mean, he reminded me of Derrick Henry in week 4 just because the more carries he got, the better he looked. He in that fourth quarter, he was just destroying people for 6-yard chunks whenever he wanted. So, all right, next team is
Your
Walters.
team's really coming together, Grossman. I like your team.
Thanks, man. Not 4-0, but we'll see. Anyways, Walter had an 8-point win over Chris in week 3, but he could not score 100 points in a week 4 loss. Geoff, Olave couldn't even reach 1 fantasy point in week 4. Was this the result of Carr's injury, or should we be concerned moving into week 5?
I think this is Carr's injury. I mean, honestly, I think, Jameis Winston, he's not afraid to let it loose, so he probably would be better served under center for Olave right now. But, yeah, I do believe that this is a result of Carr's injury and just see, I can hear you guys. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know either.
You can't hear me?
Okay. It just keeps cutting in and out. Chris has got his work cut out for him today.
Oh, big time.
All right, try again.
It's Carr's injury, in my opinion.
Okay. He's keeping it so short. It's Carr's injury. I'm sorry. Geoff is having a rough fantasy season. Landon, Walter seems like he can't choose his flex spot, right? In each of his first 4 weeks, Walter has put the wrong player in his flex spot, someone who has been outscored by at least 2 or more position players from his bench. Is this a sign that Walter is just bad at fantasy?
I really didn't think he was, but after hearing this stat of yours, I think it might be a possibility. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so too. All right, looking at Chris's team in 6th place. He lost a tough one in week 3, but luck was on his side in week 4. He got a win despite only scoring 114 points. Landon, I'm going to go to you first. Is Nico Collins for real?
Sure seems like it, Josh. A little funny story. I picked up Nico Collins, I think, after week 1 or something like that, and did what I normally do, get impatient and drop him. So, whatever. But, yeah, he looks really good. He's 5th in the NFL among all wide receivers in yards. He leads the NFL in yards per reception. CJ Stroud seems like he's the real deal.
For sure.
So it's, he's looking like quite the player. Yes, he is for real.
Okay. Geoff, are you there?
This is like a Landon type of technology fail.
No, it's this fucking Riverside. We'll go to Big Tasty.
How about you answer Geoff's question?
I don't even know what Geoff's question was. Oh, I was gonna ask Geoff what is he back?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Well, there he is.
You're looking good, buddy.
Feeling good.
Geoff, looking at Chris's team, he's of course been dealing with injuries as he does every year, with Mike Evans now getting injured. He does have Barkley, who I think is coming back. I don't know if you have any info on when he's coming back, but I want your opinion on what do you think we're going to get out of Barkley when he does come back, considering the Giants are terrible and he's coming off of a pretty bad, I think it's a high ankle.
High ankle sprain.
Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be overly confident in Saquon coming back, given this Giants O-line. What we saw out of them was a pretty pathetic display against the Seahawks. So, he's got to get touches. I mean, certainly he's a weapon in the backfield, so defenses have to account for him. But I guess you just kind of have to roll him out there and hope for the best.
Okay. All right. 7th place is Moreau's Big Tasty. He won in week 3, beating BJV 96-92, and then put up a more respectable 120 points in week 4, but lost. Geoff, Fields finally had a good week 4, and he's had a good week 5. Do you think this is just him playing 2 bad defenses, or do you think he's turning the corner? What's the reason for the change?
Personally, I think this is a result of playing a bad Denver defense. This was his best game as a passer through his entire career with 335 air yards. But looking forward, his schedule does look good. So it's certainly something that needed to be seen, I guess, after that last week. I think we would have probably found in a lot of other leagues, or even in this one, maybe he would have been dropped um, or something like that. So it was good to see. I think that manager can continue to kind of roll him out there as his QB1. And then, you look at who he played for the first 3 weeks. He played Green Bay, Tampa Bay, KC, who got Chris Jones back. So, all pretty good defenses, really. And I do think the window for trade has probably closed at this point.
Yep. Landon Achan, am I pronouncing it right? Achan? I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Put up another monster game, even with just 11 total touches. Can this continue all season long?
So, quick little backstory on Achan. I am a dynasty owner, so this is looking pretty nice for me. But this crazy run, pun intended, that he's on, it's going to come to an end at some point. He's proven that he really doesn't need many touches every game. He's not going to be that workhorse back getting 20 or 25 touches. That's just not. He's not built for that. At least doesn't seem like he is. But in that offense, he doesn't need many touches to have good games. But I don't think this, scoring multiple times every game, that's not going to continue forever.
Okay. Fifth place, Binder. He's lost the last 2. Geoff. Joe Burrow has clearly been playing injured, but Matt did do a great job picking up Stroud. Matt's been very good at picking up players off waivers the last couple of years. Can Matt compete with Burrow playing like this, or is his team sunk?
It's risky, right? But, I would expect to see some positive regression going forward. He's had 2 touchdowns in his first 4 games, so you multiply that out. What, you really think he's going to finish with 9 touchdowns on the season? I highly doubt it. So I would expect some progression or positive regression here. So I would imagine it's got to get better, but it's very possible that it could be after the bye week that we start to see this.
Yep.
Which is, I think, they have 2 games, maybe 3 before the bye.
Yeah, and at a certain point, if they just are so far out of the playoffs, they might just shut it down for the season. Landon, say something nice about Matt.
Oof. He's not in last place.
That is nice.
Got
9th
you
place,
covered.
BJV. He's had 2 weeks of not very many points, failing to score 100 points in each of his last 2 weeks. Geoff. Higgins gets injured in week 4. He wasn't having a great season before that. BJV does have a start in Bijan. Is it too early in the fantasy season to start thinking about trading Bijan to get some support in other places, or you hold on to the elite player?
Bijan's an RB6 on the season, so I probably wouldn't be trading Bijan given kind of his depth. Maybe try trading somebody like an ETN or a Madison that he has on his team. I guess I'm not as confident who we can get in return, say, for Bijan to really elevate. AJ Brown is wide receiver 8 on the season, but similar points. So, would Landon maybe make that trade? Doubtful. Yeah, I wouldn't think so. So maybe he could get somebody like an Ayuk or a Lamb or a St. Brown for, like, say, a Bijan at this point, because I don't think guys are giving up their top wide receivers like the Jeffersons out there, or those guys are, I guess, maybe Puka, but I don't think Landon's giving Puka up either. No, he doesn't have him in this league.
No,
Bryden does, but
yep.
I wouldn't want to take anyone below those kind of 1B wide receivers if I was trading Bijan off. That's for sure. And I just don't think it's enough, honestly, to get there.
Yep. Landon, BJV will have Eckler coming back soon. I think he's on bye this week. Will that be enough for Brian to turn this around?
Obviously, getting Austin Eckler back is not going to hurt anything, so it'll be a big boost to his team. So it will get better. Can't get much worse than the last few games for BJV. But I will trade Jalen Waddle for Bijan if he wants to make that happen.
Okay, I'll let him know.
All right, thank you.
Finally, Jeff's team is in last. It's been quite a few years, I think, since we've seen this. He's at 0-4. Landon. It wouldn't have made a difference, but Geoff has left a lot of points on the bench the last 2 weeks. Geoff, bad?
No, he's not
Okay.
bad. Just a rough start to the year for good old Geoff.
Geoff, how do you turn this around? Walk us through your thinking.
I mean, I don't know if I can, honestly. I mean, guys are having career weeks against me, right? So
It's been brutal.
I had to face
Mostert.
Achan, Mostert. Like when they went off, I had to face freaking tonight Moore when he went off. I mean, I actually did go. I mean, Justin Jefferson had his best game of the season so far when he faced me.
Yep.
It's just it's kind of absurd, really, is the amount of bad luck that I've had this year, and I don't know how I can turn it around. I mean, nobody wants to trade with me in this league just because
Because you're too successful.
maybe I think
Have
they
you
think I'm
proposed
trying to.
things?
Yeah, I have. I've thrown some things out there, but they've gotten shot down pretty quick. So, and I've had people reach out to me for say Lamb, but I'm not looking to turn over Lamb, my number one wide receiver, for kind of two pieces. I know Lamb has big games ahead of him, so I'm not looking to try to make any more stupid mistakes as far as rolling out, one player that might be on my bench normally, or just make poor management decisions. I want to be able to start my best possible guys. Daniel Jones has certainly been a quite a bust this season and has really cost me a lot of points. So looking at the quarterbacks out there and the super flex, I don't know how I can make up some of these points on this year, but we shall see. I don't know.
Yep. Ramondre hasn't done you any favors either.
DJ Moore
Garrett Wilson,
going for
I think,
a
has
third. Oh, he stepped out.
I don't have the game in front of me. All right, let's look at the. Oh no, let's do Hahndо's Huddle. Geoff, take it away.
All right, so let's just get right into it. As far as guys I like this week, I mean, DJ Moore was right up there. He's going this week against the rookie Emmanuel Forbes. So last week, Emmanuel Forbes went against A.J. Brown for 59% of the routes, and A.J. Brown caught 7 balls out of 11 targets and had 157 yards and 2 touchdowns. So we're seeing a very similar stat line this week for Mr. DJ Moore. I actually like DeAndre Hopkins this week in a good matchup going against Daryl Baker, who started week 1. No, this is crazy. But hear me out. He started week 1 for the Colts, and then he played as a backup in week 2. They cut him, and then due to injury, they had to bring him back, right? So this guy was somebody that they didn't want on their team, and I think Hopkins should have a big week this week. Michael Pittman on the opposite side, I think, could face Christian Fulton. Christian Fulton has let up 10 catches on 13 targets, and he's allowed 19 yards per reception. So as long as the Colts are willing to throw the ball, Mr. Anthony Richardson, then I think Pittman could have a big week. Tyreek Hill, obviously can't count him out, but he's going against a rookie cornerback this week. So Deonte Banks, I would expect him to have a big week. Zay Flowers, I like him. Should face Patrick Peterson, who's obviously a big cornerback name, but Peterson has allowed 4 touchdowns on this season and has allowed up to 15 yards per catch. And then the Cincinnati wide receivers, Arizona stinks. I mean, I've mentioned this before last week, I think. I think Boyd should be facing Jalen Thompson out of the slots. And then Chase should face Marco Wilson on the outside. Doesn't matter. Either one is going to be a great matchup. And then finally, I think Garrett Wilson could have a decent game if he's able to avoid Pat Surtain, but he probably will be in shadow coverage. But who knows how they move him around and stuff. So that being said, I do like Lazard maybe on the other side. He's going to face Damari Mathis. Damari Mathis has been one of the worst cornerbacks in the league. He's let up 22 catches on 25 targets for 288 yards and 4 touchdowns. So guys to avoid that I don't necessarily like this week. Stephon Diggs, I know he's coming off a big game last week. Obviously, you're going to start him in the season-long leagues, but he's facing Tyson Campbell, who's just been one of the most outstanding cornerbacks this year. I don't necessarily like CeeDee Lamb this week. He's going to be facing Isaiah Oliver in the slots for the 49ers. He's only giving up .16 yards per route run. So that's not necessarily good. Nico Collins, I'm not a big fan of him this week. He's going to be facing A.J. Tyrell, who's been balling out. He's only allowed 2 catches on the season for 38 yards. He did let up a TD last week against Ridley, but that was really all Ridley did in the game, right? He was on Ridley 90% of the time last week. So yeah, he was 2 catches for 38 yards. It was Ridley's line for a touchdown. He's only averaging 9 yards per catch. And then the Broncos wide receivers, I don't like any of them this week going against the Jets. The Jets defense, all 3 of their cornerbacks have allowed less than 10 yards per reception. So keeping everything in front of them, that's for sure. I would look to avoid. If Zay Jones doesn't come back this week, last guy I would probably look to avoid is Christian Kirk. He's going to have a tough matchup against Tyron Johnson, who's only giving up 0.07 yards or fantasy points per route run. 0.07 fantasy points per route run. So that's pretty good.
Good stuff, Geoff. Thank you so much, buddy. All right.
But if they're facing me, start them, just all of them.
Yes.
You can take that whole entire group I just mentioned. They're playing me, and they'd go off. So
no, without a doubt.
Screenshot my lineups, my competition's lineups.
Let's look at week 5 real quick. First place, Brian against 6th place, Chris. Let's say Barkley plays. Would you rather play Barkley or... Well, dog is barking, so maybe
Barkley.
but or nice. Or maybe Addison or Najee. What do you guys think?
If Barkley doesn't play?
Does play. You putting Barkley in?
I would.
Yeah. If Barkley is active, you play him, yes.
I think Addison's going to have a big game. All right, for Bryden's team. He's going with Mostert and Swift and sitting Aaron Jones. Is that the right move?
Yeah. I actually do. I like Aaron Jones this week. I really do. So,
would you,
I think
sit then
between
between
somebody that you could look to try to get in there?
Who would you play him over?
Probably Mostert.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. All right, who wins this one?
I'm going with Rolaids because I
Yeah.
want to. I want to be in first place. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Bryden has it again though.
Yeah, unfortunately, I agree. All right, looking at second place. Let me reload. Just get these scores updated. Oh, you've lost points, Landon. All right, Landon, second place.
Defense.
Good pickup.
Looking, yeah, great pickup.
All right.
I don't know that there's any real decisions to be had on your team here. Let me look at Walter's team. Let's say Javonte doesn't play. Who would you start from his bench? Sutton, Michael Thomas, Edwards, London, or Tutu?
Well, I want to win, so.
Walter
But no,
doesn't
if I'm
watch
giving
this.
him advice, yeah, he doesn't watch, but yeah, I would probably go with Drake London.
Yeah, I would too.
Okay. Who wins this
I think
one?
Drake London scored in
sorry,
his
go ahead.
last 2 weeks, hasn't he? I think he's had
I
2
think so.
touchdowns in 2 weeks. So,
But Houston is more of
they're
a
tough.
run funnel. So,
for sure.
Who wins this one?
I'm gonna say Walter wins this week.
Please,
So.
like Child, please, but it's not a great start with the defense.
I'm gonna say Child Please as well. All right. Sorry, I'm gonna update this one as well. Bino's empty points. Third place to V, who has a start with Howell. Bino is benching Ridley, Flowers, Judy, and starting Hall. Is that the right move?
Yeah,
Like
rumor
Zay
has
Jones.
it. Rumor has it they're taking the restrictions off of Brees Hall, so I think you go with that, especially against Denver. They fucking suck.
Geoff, were you?
Yeah, I agree. I would probably try to look to get Flowers in there somehow, but I don't mind this lineup that he's rolling out there right now.
Okay. For BJV, He's going Ferguson over Waller at tight end. Do you guys think that's the right move?
Ooh. Yeah, Waller's not been very good thus far. But Ferguson's got a tough matchup.
No, not against the tight end. I think the 49ers are one of the better matchups for tight ends, honestly.
I trust Geoff.
Okay. I trust Geoff, but I would still go with Waller.
Okay. Who wins this one?
Bino.
Yep. Which way are you going?
Probably.
Okay. My team against Jeff's team. Should we skip? George Pickens.
just tell me who to start
George Pickens. Does George Pickens score more than Gary Wilson?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. I think he's going to have a big game on your bench. Who wins this one?
Oof, this is tough. Sorry, Geoff. You're going to 0-5.
Oh,
I'm gonna go with Grossman too. I'm hoping that all of us picking it will maybe give me a little luck, reverse jinx here.
Oh yeah, I can do this too. I can't. I pick me. Watch, everyone gets injured. And then last we have 7th versus 8, Moreau versus Fender. Moreau's got I guess it's a good start. Fields is kind of carrying that team. No decisions on Moreau's team, Fender's team. Jacoby, would you get Jacoby in there if Devontae doesn't start? Maybe over
Yeah, I probably
Pacheco,
would.
although Pacheco's going to have a good game.
Yeah, but
I wouldn't take out Pacheco.
Yeah,
No.
I don't know. I guess I'm
well,
might
It
end
all
up
depends
being
on
out.
St. Brown. If St. Brown doesn't play, right? He's popped up on the injury list here. So,
Yep.
But
Who wins this one, guys?
I'm going to go with Moreau.
I'll take Fender.
I'm gonna go Moreau. This is gonna be a good one, though.
It will be a good matchup. I agree.
All right. That does it for week 5. Any last words, gents?
Fantasy football sucks.
You're gonna be the
So
first
stupid.
0-5 team to make a comeback and make the playoffs.
So stupid. This is so dumb.
I just want to remind you that
Not
the
even having
first
fun.
year,
Not even having fun.
the first year that we did this podcast, both Landon and I were in your spot where we had to do this podcast every week, and it sucked. And you won that season, so you were like, "Oh, look at me! I love fantasy football." It happens to all of us. It's
It
a
sure
cruel
does.
mistress. All right, good luck, everybody, and we'll see you maybe next week.
Maybe. Probably not.
Hope so.
Peace out.
All right.
Baby, are you down for real? I get worried when I'm not with you. Go and tell me how you feel. Is it reciprocated when I miss you? Baby, are you down for real? Or is it just talk? I can't tell.